Welcome to the Pulse podcast, where we explore the latest trends in workplace innovation, technology, and financing. I'm your host, Jenn Bello. I am the head of strategic marketing and digital for LifeTech, which covers DLL's workplace, healthcare, and technology segments. Today, we are diving into one of the most transformative forces shaping our industry and the buzzword that everyone is talking about, artificial intelligence. When it comes to understanding what's really happening on the ground, we have two guests who quite literally have a pulse on the industry. Joining me today are two of DLL's new business development leaders who spend their days talking to senior leaders, C-level executives, our partners, and innovators at conferences, trade shows, and strategy sessions around the world. They are not just watching the trends, they are helping shape them. Supporting Europe and Asia Pacific, we have Michal Werkowski. And for the Americas, we have Matthew Keown. Michal, Matthew, welcome to the show.
Hello.
So
Hello, Jenn.
Before we jump in, we are going to cover some great stuff today. I'm super excited. We have our big topic of the day, AI. So let's get to know you both a little bit. Michal, let's start with you. What has your journey been like in the tech and finance space?
Sure. Thank you, Jenn. Hello, everyone. My name is Michal Werkowski, and I spent 20 years on the intersection of the finance and IT. I remember the first years when I started where digitalization meant changing from spreadsheets into ERP systems. I've been helping companies finance infrastructure, data center, software rollouts. And at the very early beginning, IT was always being seen as a support, not a real driver. And now with the AI, this is really changing because the intelligence which we can see there is supporting businesses. It's really leading the decisions. It's helping companies to transform and really change the way the whole business is moving. So I'm focusing on Europe and Asia Pacific region at DLL.
Amazing. Thank you. Matthew, how about you?
Yeah, so Jenn, I'm fortunate enough to have been around when I was out selling for a value-added reseller here in Atlanta, trying to get companies to buy onto this new thing called email. So I've been around a while, and I've seen lots of different changes and things through the internet revolution, the dot-com boom, the connectivity of things. I've worked for some really large global companies like Ricoh. I've worked with Cisco and Apple and a host of others, and also small businesses and startups. What just excites me about this space and what really, really gets me going around artificial intelligence and AI is the ability to make things much more efficient for companies, to get things right more times than not, and to get it right faster. And that crosses lots of different industry lines. It crosses lots of different technical lines. And so the ability to do things quicker, more efficiently, more accurately, and then to have it driven by something that's continuously learning and getting smarter and smarter and smarter, I think is really, really cool.
So Matt, there is this concept of, AI is the buzzword. It feels like this gold rush of information that's coming around. What are you seeing in the US to really support this gold rush concept of the information overload with AI?
Yeah, so it really is in the US and in the Americas, it's all about speed, right? These companies here are afraid to lose market position or market advantage to a competitor. So they're looking for any type of tool, any type of hardware, any type of software system that can get them a competitive advantage quickly. And a lot of times to do that, they need to look at financing because these systems are not cheap, that they are very robust and they can do an awful lot of things. But to afford it, they have to look at some kind of financing solution. And then that's where we can kind of step in.
Right. I think also something I saw the other day online was how Microsoft acquired the 3 Mile Island nuclear facilities to power their data centers. I think that's such an amazing example of how they're really shifting and how serious this is. I didn't know that. I thought that was such a cool little fun fact.
Yeah, they look at it, and lots of companies are looking for different ways. I mean, you've got other companies that are looking at geothermal energy production, buying giant battery facilities and those things. But yeah, Microsoft went and purchased 3 Mile Island because so much energy is needed to power these data centers. And you're seeing this around the world, solar, wind. I mean, you've got massive, massive data storage and massive energy needs. So yeah, that's another really big shift that's coming is looking at sustainability because you have to be able to power these giant data centers with enough electricity.
Yeah. Who would have thought? Michal, what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, it's very, very interesting, especially that currently AI is being used to solve the problem of scarcity of energy, and this is really fantastic because we need more energy to use AI, and we are using AI to build the new ways of creating energy and to make the whole system more efficient. So we are living in a really, really very exciting times.
Yeah.
Yeah, this might be the first time the problem is actually the solution.
Yeah.
I love that.
Really cool.
So when you think about kind of these three things that it hinges on, innovation, information, access to energy, Michal, what's your perspective from a European and an Asia Pacific perspective on how those things intersect?
Well, in fact, Europe and Asia Pacific are very different in terms of tackling AI. Europe is more focusing on governance, on transparency, on ethics. This is a typical EU way of looking at things. So first, we need to create some kind of environment to then allow the companies to really act on it. So we have a huge influence of EU AI Act, which is showing the huge commitment from the European perspective, but also in a very cautious way. Yeah, so Europe is really focusing on responsible innovation, and also if we look at the way this whole innovation, information, and access is intercepting, we can see the shift towards the as a service models. So you have the innovation with the access intercepting in the way that the companies are looking for the solutions, not the technology as such. So that's really exciting thing. And if we look at the Asia Pacific region, this is the real roller coaster because they are focusing more on the adoption, on the very fast adoption, on more experimentation, especially in the hubs like Singapore, South Korea. We can see the really, really huge demand for also for flexible financing models with the AI as a main technology behind. But it's really as I said at the beginning, it's just a roller coaster, and I think that if we just want to sum up in one sentence the difference between those two markets, we can see that Europe is really leading in terms of ethics, and Asia Pacific is leading in terms of execution. So both needs the smart financing to scale the AI, but the way they are tackling this is completely different.
I love that perspective. That's really cool. It's also interesting to see that even with a technology or something that feels like a trend, it's probably here to stay, but feels trendy at the moment, how different cultures adapt those things and how the cultural differences of just how those regions and those countries go to market and do their business adjacent of AI, how that cultural difference still really comes into play there. So thank you for that perspective. Matt, from an America's perspective, what are you seeing or feeling as far as, innovation, information, access to the reliable energy, kind of those intersections there?
Yeah, so and just to kind of piggyback off of a point that Michal made, one of the things that quietly happened in this space was the move from air-cooled GPUs to liquid-cooled GPUs. So, when this first started years ago, lots and lots of these data centers would be implemented in very northern cold climes, Finland, Iceland, Sweden, Norway, up at the top near the Arctic Circle, because to cool the facility down because they're using enormous amounts of energy. They're generating a lot of heat inside. They would just design buildings where the doors would open. And so then you'd have that cold Arctic breeze blow through, cool everything down, then you close the doors back down. But now with liquid cooled, these things can be implemented anywhere. So that's why you see countries like Singapore, countries like Saudi Arabia, Brazil, the southeastern United States, and southwestern United States, Texas, starting to build these massive data centers because the energy requirements have gone down because they don't need to now air condition it, right? They don't need to cool the facility as much. So I think that is a huge, huge shift in kind of where geographically these things can be. It's always better to have them closer to where you want the computations to be done and who it's supporting. Again, that's why Microsoft bought 3 Mile Island there in New Jersey to establish a data center right next to it for the United States government, United States customers. So I think if you look aside from that in the Americas, it's still all about speed. They're looking for companies that produce these GPUs like NVIDIA and produce the overall rack solutions, companies like Supermicro and others that can really get the best of breed technology into their hands, into their developers as fast as possible. It's all about the competitive advantage. And you're seeing it again across all industries, the pharmaceutical industries, with genetic mapping to new drugs and pharmaceuticals, the automotive industry for safety, governments for deploying funds the most efficient way. So yeah, it's all about getting out there as fast as you possibly can here in the US and in the Americas.
Awesome. Thank you. I want to shift gears a little bit, start to talk about some things that you guys are hearing in the field. You both are on the road, you're at shows, you're talking to the latest and greatest in your industries. So I'd love to tap into what you're hearing and seeing in your travels while you're at these events. Has there been anything that's really stuck out or really jumped out at you around AI at these events that you're attending? Michal, why don't we kick off with you?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I think that recently I had 2 examples on the 2 different conferences, and on the GTEx that I participated in Berlin earlier this year. I had a chance to speak with a mid-sized IT service company that had launched AI-powered cybersecurity for the corporate clients, and this is really great tech. This is really something that is helping detection and the real time. Doesn't need to involve the in-house IT and so on and so forth. The point there is that with the excellent technology behind and the powered by AI and really state-of-the-art thing, they really were not able to address the real market, because the real market was the mid-sized companies that really couldn't afford to do that. So in fact, you can have a great technology that your target customer is not able to implement because they cannot afford to do that. Right. So this is where the good discussions are starting. Yeah. So if you think about what we are doing at DLL, we are just trying to identify exactly those kind of situations, those kind of challenges. And we started discussions with the IT provider, and we figure out that we can really very nicely build this financing solution around that. And currently we are implementing that on the large scale, and the customer and the partners, they are really happy with what we've been doing there. So they can offer the really state-of-the-art solution with something for the customers that could not potentially were not able to implement it and support it. So my takeaway from this particular example is that AI and in fact any other solution and any other technology is only as good as the business model around. Yeah, so you can have the very good technology, but without the proper implementation and sales enablement, then in fact it's not possible to really use the full scope and the full potential of that. So in that case, finance was the missing link, and we managed to identify that. So that was pretty
awesome.
Cool. Yeah,
love that. Thank you, Matt. What about you? Any events that you've attended lately that have stuck out? Anything you want to share?
Yeah, I was at a tech summit in Toronto, where a logistics company they came to us and talked about how they were using AI to optimize delivery routes through a software hardware application in real time with GPS and all these different data points coming in and routing the trucks and the drivers telling them where to go. They were kind of struggling to get board approval for implementation across the company. This was kind of a pilot they were doing. But what we did, we helped them structure a deferred payment plan tied to fuel and time savings. And so within 3 months, they saw a 15% reduction in costs, and then they greenlit the full deployment. So that's one of those examples where we can come in, and we have come in and tied the finance piece and how to pay for it and how to show the return on the investment back into what artificial intelligence can provide for companies. And again, like we talked about earlier, the energy demand, there's a big market for artificial intelligence within the energy sector because it's driving the demand, but it's also part of the solution to make grid smarter, to make energy, more reliable to the source, and also the development of cleaner energy technology like fusion and things. So it's a driver of the solution that we're all going to need when these energy needs spike.
Yeah. I love the connection that you both had with how financing is kind of that link between making AI accessible for partners, vendors, customers, these organizations that know they need it, but feel a little bit stuck in how they get there. So those are great examples. Thank you. So as we think about kind of wrapping up here, I'd love if you could both give a 30-second snippet or a one-liner of any advice that you would give to anyone listening. So whether that be one of our partners, a customer, someone that's using AI, what's some advice that you would give? Michal, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So first of all, don't wait. Yeah. And also sell outcomes, not AI. So focus on the business value, not real, not algorithm. This is what is important on the market. Yeah, it's like clients and the partners, they want results, they want efficiency, productivity, and savings. This is what they are really looking for. Second point is to rethink the commercial models. Yeah, think about subscription, usage-based, outcome-based. Partner with the best finance experts early enough to build something really meaningful. And the third point is to choose the partners to scale. And this is not only about financing solutions. This is about the entire ecosystem. Yeah, so build the proper partners. You can, there's an old saying that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. Yeah, so that's exactly what it is all about. Yeah, and with us, it's not just finance. That's the whole strategic enablement, and we really understand how it should go. So don't wait, act, but do it in a smart way.
I love that. There were some big mic drop moments in there. Those were great tidbits. Thank you. Matthew, what about you? What are some things that listeners should take away?
Yeah, I would tell partners to look 2 or 3 steps ahead, right? Because what's happening now is you're going to have artificial intelligence automate some workflow or make something a bit more efficient. But as you look 2 or 3 steps ahead, there are opportunities for robotics to do things that maybe humans are doing currently, and that can tie back into these systems that you're putting the data into to get those outputs, right? And the perfect example is like the kiosk at a fast food restaurant. Now you don't talk to anybody. You go in, you punch out your order on the kiosk, and it tells the folks in the back, what to make you, and you take the number, put it on your table, and then they bring it to the number. Well, the next logical step is for you to input that data into the kiosk, go sit down with your number, and the robots in the back are making your order, and one is bringing it out to you, right?
Yeah.
So start to think 2 or 3 steps ahead of how much more efficient that you can get utilizing some of these different technologies. And on that note, I think Michal's point is incredibly valid. Look for partnerships, not just in the technology space of it, but also in the finance space, also in the legal space, and lots of the things that you're going to have to overcome and have to deal with when you implement these technologies. And security. and I'll leave it on this note. With all of the data and the systems, and we're relying more and more on them to do things. Once we build that tower, we have to protect it. And so
Right.
make sure that you take cybersecurity very, very seriously.
Amazing. Thank you. Guys, this has been really great. I love working with both of you. I learn a ton from our conversations, and just the little nuggets from today are so insightful. I know our listeners will feel the same. So with that is a wrap. Thank you, Matthew and Michal. I really loved this conversation. Thanks for joining us on the Pulse podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe and follow DLL on LinkedIn for more insights from around the world. I am Jenn Bello, Head of Global Strategic Marketing and Digital. Stay tuned for another exciting episode of the Pulse podcast.
This podcast is brought to you by DLL Group. All rights reserved. This podcast is for general information purposes only and should not be used as a substitute for professional advice. The opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the participants. Nothing herein should be construed as legal, tax, financial, accounting, or investment advice. Please visit www.dllgroup.com/aboutus for further details.